This is African American History is American History. On the evening of October 16, 1933, 71-year-old Mary Denston was walking down a road from the post office in Princess Anne to her home a few miles away. As Denston passed a field outside of town, a young black man allegedly jumped out and attempted to assault her. She suffered absolutely no injuries. Nevertheless, the elderly woman provided authorities with details of the incident and identified her would-be assailant.
And there I was, walking along, minding my own business, when all of a sudden that nigger came at me. But he seemed to just come out of nowhere. I saw him plain as day. It was that feeble-minded nigger, George Armwood. You know, the one works over at the Richardson farm. His eyes, Lord, I tell you, there was murderous fury in his eyes. You could tell, like to kill me, or worse. I just screamed. Guess that scared him off.
Mary Denston was describing 23-year-old George Armwood, a reportedly mentally challenged laborer who worked for a white farmer named John Richardson. Now, Richardson lived near Pocomoke City in the southern portion of Somerset County. Constantly described as feeble-minded, George Armwood was employed as a semi-slave on the Richardson property. As a child, Armwood's mother, Etta, had given him away to Richardson to be reared for that role. Now remember, this was 1933, 68 years after slavery. Thanks to Mary Denston's eyewitness account, the police had no trouble finding George Armwood at the home of his employer. Armwood's mother, who lived nearby, was later quoted as stating,
"The police beat my son in a field just across from my home. I watched them beat him so badly that I felt he might already be dead from the beating."
This is African American History is American History. Expecting additional violence, the police took Armwood to the jail in Salisbury. After an angry crowd gathered at the Salisbury jail, Armwood was relocated to the jail in Cecil County and then again to Baltimore County. Judge Robert F. Doerr and State Attorney John Robbins assured Maryland Governor Albert C. Ritchie that if George Armwood were to return to the Eastern Shore, his safety would be guaranteed. In the early morning of October 17th, Armwood was returned to Princess Anne. Maryland State Police Captain Edward Johnson, fearful that mob violence would erupt, requested that Armwood again be removed from Princess Anne. State Attorney Robbins declined that request. Governor Ritchie then consulted with Maryland Attorney General William Preston Lane, Jr. in order to determine if the state could overrule Robbins and remove Armwood. Lane determined that for Ritchie to do so would require the declaration of martial law. Sheriff's Deputy Norman Dryden was so concerned of the potential for violence that on the afternoon of October 17, 1933, he approached Edward Young, commander of the Princess Anne chapter of the American Legion, and asked that legionnaires be available to help preserve order. Later that day, an angry crowd of over 1,000 residents gathered outside the jail on William Street. Judge Doerr spoke to the crowd.
People, please listen to me. Now, I know you all think you're doing the right thing, but this boy hasn't even had a trial yet. And until that time, George Armwood must be accorded the same rights as anyone, under the laws of this state and this country. People, now I'm holding you to your honor, and I'm asking you, please do not harm George Armwood. Let the law take care of this. Please, just go on home.
I thank you for your help, Your Honor.
No, Captain Johnson. No, I don't think I was much help here at all. Look at them. You can see it in their eyes. They mean to get that boy, and nothing is going to stand in their way.
I was only able to get 15 legionnaires to help. Most of them refused to defend a Negro.
No matter, Captain. I don't think it would matter how many men you put in front of this jailhouse. It won't be enough. They mean to kill him.
Rage and a sense of helplessness gripped all African Americans. In an editorial dated October 21st, 1933, the Baltimore Afro-American lashed out against the lynching of George Armwood.
The belief and contention of the International Labor Defense that exploitation and race prejudice go hand in hand, and upon these mob violence and lynching flourish, was given additional credibility this week in the case of George Armwood, alleged Eastern Shore attempted rapist.
The International Labor Defense, or ILD, was a legal advocacy organization here in the United States and was established in 1925. Its ties were with the Communist Party USA, which was established in 1919, the largest communist political party in the country. The ILD defended Sacco and Vanzetti, was active in the anti-lynching and civil rights movements, and prominently participated in the defense and legal appeals of the Scottsboro Boys in the early 1930s. 2 years after the murder of George Armwood, a grand jury heard testimony from 42 witnesses to the lynching, including 12 black men who were held in the jail. Although state police officers personally identified 9 men as acting leaders of the mob, a local jury declined to indict anyone for the murder of George Armwood. The Eastern Shore of Maryland is a treasure trove of information on the history of race relations in America, through documented facts, oral histories, cultural traditions, legends, and folk tales, all woven into one significant location. From the Underground Railroad to the modern civil rights movement, Maryland's Eastern Shore holds an important place in history, and most of it unknown. This has been African American History is American History. The episode you've been listening to, Mob Law and the Lynching of George Armwood, was written and directed by Harlan Kearsley. The voice actors for this episode were Sarah Cushing Downs as Mary Denston, Soraya Butler as Etta Armwood, Jeffrey Shupert as Judge Robert F. Doer, and Robert McKay as Maryland Police Captain Edward Johnson and the Afro-American reporter. I'm Harlan Kearsley, and on behalf of everyone involved with African American History is American History, thank you for listening. And if you haven't done so, please subscribe to the channel. Now it's free and easy once you hit the little bell icon. That way you'll be notified when new episodes, specials, and shorts are posted. Thanks again. And till next time, please stay safe. This has been African American History is American History.